My name is Alia Fredericks. I am 46 years old. I work for a company called Insurrence, and I'm a broker relations manager. So in about April 2019, I kept getting this excruciating pain in my abdomen, onto the right hand side of my abdomen. And I just thought, maybe it's something I ate. Then I'd avoided eating that particular thing, whatever it was. It could have been maybe bread or pasta or whatever. And I decided, it can't be that. Maybe it's something else. And I kept trying to convince myself it was the food I was eating. Eventually I said, no, I need to go to the doctor because this pain was just getting too much. And you can't keep taking painkillers and painkillers and painkillers. And with that, on the 3rd of May, I went to the doctor, and I said to her, you know what, can we also just do a pap smear at the same time? Just something just said to me, do the pap smear, which I did. And following that, the Monday, she called me and she said to me, she's picked up some abnormalities, they call it abnormalities, in my cells, and if I can, do I have a gynae that I can see, if I can go and see a gynae. And I said, I don't have one in particular. And she said to me, okay, she'll give me a contact number, which she did. Following that, a week goes by, you get an appointment if you're lucky early enough, and which I did. I got an appointment with her, and she was very concerned when she did the examination. There was a lot of blood, which she didn't know where was coming from. She did a scan and all sorts of things, and she said the only way she can get in there to see exactly what is wrong is by me coming in for a biopsy, and it will be a day procedure, and that's it. So the cancer thing was hardly on my brain, it wasn't even thought of, but when I heard the bleeding, she's not sure, I thought, oh well, okay, maybe it's just something very abnormal, like a fibroid or something. Anyway, a week went by again, and I went into hospital on about, I think it was about the 13th of May. So it was just supposed to be an in and out. I went in the morning and came out, and the evening she came to come and see me. And she said to me, look, she's not happy with the results. She wants to, she wants me to stay overnight because there was excessive bleeding, and she wanted to monitor that being in the hospital. So I said, oh, okay, that's fine. The next day, the biopsy results came back, and she came to come see me in my rooms, and she said to me, actually at the ward, and she said, can we gonna have the discussion in my ward, in my room? So I said, no, it's fine, we can discuss it here. Because at the time there was nobody in the ward with me. So I said, no, it's fine, you can discuss it here. And she said to me, they've picked up some cancer cells, and we're gonna have to do more tests to see how far it is. And with that, funny enough, I realized what my dad had gone through, because he was diagnosed in 2017 with lung cancer. Didn't speak to us, didn't confide in us, didn't say anything. So for me, it was my journey through him, because he didn't tell us. So I didn't want to do the same thing. I wanted to speak about it. I wanted to tell people about it, and all of that. What you're going through and how you're feeling and all of that. I actually didn't say, why me? That was not on my mind. It was just a case of, you know what? The Almighty won't put you in a position that you can't handle. Pray about it. He'll be there for you. He'll get you through it. And today I can speak about it, And funny enough, I didn't cry or anything, and then the nurses were standing there waiting now, because I was going to have blood tests done now, MRI, CT scan, the works. And she said to me, are you okay? So I said, no, I'm fine. Then my mom and my aunt came in. It was visiting time. And I said to them, doctor's just been here, and she said it's cancer cells. My aunt burst into tears. My mom was so shocked. It's like, no man, this can't be. We've just come from my father who's had the lung cancer, and now you. And I just said to her, look, this is just the journey that's been chosen for me. I can't question it, Anyway, cut a long story short, we did all the MRI, we did the CT scan. Whilst I was in hospital, she said, rather we do everything and then we get you going. And I started my first, I think, going to the professors and the chemo doctor, you're like a bit overwhelmed because you don't know what to expect. So going to the professor, he explained the procedure about the internal radiation, he explained about the external irradiation, and for me at that time it was very overwhelming because, oh my god, how am I going to get through the internal radiation, because it just sounds painful, you know. I thought, you know what, let's just take it one day at a time. When I get there, I'll get there. So I started on the 18th of June, which was just after the public holiday, because they don't do treatments on the weekend or public holidays. And I must say the first day was fine, was brilliant, no issues. So having radiation, they first do which I like, they do an x-ray of your body to see that your bladder is full, to push the organs away so it's not affected with the radiation. That was, so first day, perfect. Second day, oh, we didn't get this right. The bladder wasn't full enough. So it was a back and forth and back and forth. So I used to go there about 1 o'clock in the morning, in the afternoon. That second day of treatment, I was only out of there at 5:30, and that said, oh, am I really going to be battling with this? But then I pulled myself towards myself and I just said, no, you're going to get this right. And that was probably, there's maybe only 2 days that my bladder wasn't full enough, which, you know, you have to, because that's their job and they need to do it right. So I used to come to work in the mornings, go for my radiation, go home. If I was exhausted, rest. Whatever you do, rest. If your body says to you rest, you rest. If I was fine, I used to still work in the afternoons, obviously from home. But Fridays when I used to have chemo, I used to go in at 9 and I used to be home by about 3:30. So I wasn't in the office at all, and I used to just rest as well on a Friday. Saturdays, so I didn't venture out on weekends. The weekends was my rest day, because after chemo it's hectic, which I learned from my brother. He said to me, you need to rest. So the radiation, I had internal 23 sessions, and external 23 sessions, and then I had 4 sessions of the internal. Chemo was every Friday, but it was 4 sessions. So it wasn't the red devil, as they call it. It was just very mild, so my hair didn't fall out, you know, that kind of thing. But I did have the side effects of the diarrhea. A little bit of nausea, but I had lots of diarrhea. I couldn't, and he told me from day one when I was with the radiation, no spicy foods, no sauces, no creamy stuff, nothing. So it really made me aware of the food I was eating at the time as well. Water, I know from my dad's days, I just couldn't take in water. Water tasted like metal. And I used to drink flavored water, which is not ideal because it's got high sugar content, but that's the only way. Or I used to drink hot water with lemon. That was the only way for me. So yeah, and when I got to the internal radiation, I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? So, you know, it's 4 treatments. You just have to get through it and just deal with it. And it was fine. The internal wasn't as bad as what I thought it was. It was just fine. I finished my last treatment on the 24th of July. I had to see him 2 weeks, which was about the 8th of August. He did a examination and he said he was happy. Then I had to see him in 3 months' time, which was November. This is just the radiation professor. I saw him in November and he did an internal examination again, and he said, no, you're fine, you can go back to gymming, to do whatever you need to do. But I still felt that my body wasn't ready. My mind could have been ready, but my body wasn't ready. So I went in slowly with it. And then he said to me, you need to see her in 3 months' time, which was 7th of February, which I did. And she's very happy. She's did a pap smear. She says 100% normal. I don't have to see her now. I can see her in a year's time. And she said, but if there's anything, I have to let her know. So he's already said to me on the 8th of November, you are all clear, you're in remission. And I think it just makes you more aware of your health, of your abilities, where you are, what you're doing in your life. So I'll be honest with you, I was in a difficult stage of my life in 2014, 2015, where I wanted to cancel the policy, to be honest with you. And they said to me, please don't, even if you're going to be on the minimum, which is about, I think, 250,000 at the time. The premium's not that much. I mean, I'd already reduced my insurance. I mean, those are the first things that you actually try and get rid of. Because I couldn't find a job for about 11 months. I was retrenched, and so it was a struggle for me. Anyway, cut a long story short, I said, you know what, let me just keep it. You never know what can happen. And when I was diagnosed and all of that, it was like not even on my mind at the time. And then I realized, oh, but wait a minute, I've got my platinum life policy, let me have a look. Because I'm not going to submit it and there's nothing, let me just go through it and all of that. And I think that was about June-ish, I think, just when I was diagnosed and all of that. And I phoned your call center. I can't remember who I first spoke to at the time, and they said, no, yes, you're covered and all of that, and they pay you out the lump sum, which I now eventually submitted the claim, but obviously with the documentation from the doctors and all of that I needed. And yeah, the process was, I think the only delay was from the doctors, and you can understand, they are very busy, they don't have time for admin, and they don't have PAs as such to actually do what they need to do. They need to sign it, they need to check that everything's okay. So that was the only delay. And yeah, then I got a message to say it will be in my account, and the money was there in my account, and that was it. So I mean, already then I was grateful, because specialists charge over and above the normal rates with your medical aid. So at least I could cover those small little things in the beginning. And what I've been doing is keeping a record actually of my treatment, what I've been spending and all of that, because in the interim I've been upping on my vitamin intake, I've been getting the injection intakes, all of that on the vitamin C side. So that's helped me along the way, because medical aid doesn't cover you for that. So I must say the claims process was a breeze. The only thing was the doctors delaying in terms of the ad. Basically, I can give you an indication, my trips I was going for every week before my treatment, okay? That's in the region, so they started me on a minimal one because they didn't want to just give my body that boost. Started on 850, so that was like 850 a week from the time of my diagnosis. The only time I skipped was towards the end of November, December, January I hadn't gone. And I realized my body actually needed that, you know. So now I'm sitting on a higher mill in terms of vitamins, and it's sitting at 1,100. But you know, it adds up. It does add up. Your vitamins every month, it does add up. You know, you're sitting at maybe between 800 and 1,000 for your vitamins. So it's almost like it's 2,000 for the vitamins. It's 850 Rand a week for your drip intake. It adds up. Because I'm on a lower level of a plan, at the time obviously I was looking after my daughter, so she was on my medical aid. I mean, medical aid is not cheap for two people, and the cost at that time, they said to me, was 200,000 that I had available for chemo and radiation. So I did some inquiries, and they said, oh no, you'll definitely be covered with it. And thankfully I am. For anybody out there, look after yourself. Even if you're 20 and you take out a minimal one that's say 100 Rand a month, do it for yourself. I've now encouraged my daughter to do that. Make sure that you are covered for this, covered for that. You know, those are the things. Have your medical aid in place. So yeah, those things that you think is not important, it's important.